What's happening, folks? It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community and the channel that was created by a retail investor for retail investors. Today is Friday, November 1st. Hope you're doing well, and it's a brand new month. In this video, we're going to be discussing, did you lose money or did you make money in the MJ sector? I know a lot of people have been complaining that they're down on their investments. They're probably never going to get their money back. Even just break even seems like an impossible thing to do at this point. I'll give my thoughts and opinions on this. I'll let you know that you're not alone. There's tons of people who have lost money. There's tons of people who have made money. And just remember, for everybody that loses money, there's a ton of people that make money. So every time you lose, somebody makes money, and every time someone makes money, someone loses money, right? Vice versa. So this is just the way the market goes. And we're going to discuss, I'll give my thoughts and opinions on this, and I'll give my kind of personal scenario as well with an example. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. You should never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. And I just posted a video, true or false, no more all-time highs for certain MJ stocks. You got to check this video out if this is something that a lot of people have been asking me about this lately, and I give my thoughts and opinions on that. But the moral of the story is we just have to be patient, right? And here's another example. I posted this video today. More delays, rescheduling here delayed until 2025. It's still taking place on December 2nd, and then it's just testimonies and things like that are going to be in January or February. It's literally a month or two, and people are losing their ever-loving minds. So exactly what I said in this video. It's all about transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. That's what the stock market does, right? And investing, and you could probably say the same with crypto as well. But when something gets delayed by a month or two, people are losing their ever-loving minds, and we've been in a 4-year bear market. So we really have to change our mindset. But check out those videos if you want to if you care to learn more about those. And like I said, this one, getting a lot of questions about this one lately. So I think a lot of people have that on their mind, and I think that'll help you a lot. But we talked about this in the Pow Group private community. It doesn't matter if it's stocks, it doesn't matter if it's crypto, it doesn't matter if it's real estate, etc., any kind of asset. There's always somebody at the bad side, who's getting the short end of the stick, and somebody who's on the good side of the trade and the equation, right? So if you buy a condo, there's tons of people who buy condos or real estate super cheap and have sold it over the last few years. I was one of them for, a substantial sum of money, right? A lot of money. And there's people who bought it, back 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago, right? They made an absolute killing. And then there's people who have bought condos in the last 10 years. Like, for example, in Edmonton, there's some condos going for like 50,000 Canadian, which is less than a Tesla, like 50,000 Canadian, not US, right? That's like 35,000 US. You can buy a condo downtown Edmonton, right? And then, basically all those have been scooped up. I was one of the ones scooping them up, and there's been tons of investment companies buying them as well. And now, you get parking spaces for 40,000, but you could buy a condo for the same amount as a parking stall title. But now you're starting to see it go back up again. And then eventually all these, the cheapest one here is about 80,000 for a condo. But eventually that's all going to change. But my point is these people who bought condos in 2008, 2007, I think is whenever condos peaked in Edmonton. And there was tons of people I know who bought condos for 240,000. And just this year or last year, they could only sell it. They'd be lucky to get 80,000 for it. So there's always somebody who's going to be on the the losing side of that trade, right? And there's tons of people. Look at the Toronto market, right? Look at this house. It's over $1 million, and it's just a tiny little home. Like there's like barely any yard. Like when I was in PEI and I bought my first property, it was huge. I had like half an acre and like a fully fenced backyard, a front yard. Like the thing was absolutely massive. And I bought it for like 170,000 Canadian. And then I ended up selling it for almost double, and I bought a house as well. Sorry, the duplex I did sell for over double, and it over doubled in 7 years. I knew a friend of mine in PEI, Prince Edward Island, East Coast of Canada. He bought a house in 2019, and in 2 years it doubled. He paid 200,000 for it, and in 2 years it went to 400,000. But he's like, I can't sell. I need a place to live. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to sell high, buy high. But what I did is I sold my properties in PEI, and I moved to Edmonton, and I bought the beaten down condo market here. So I was able to over double on one of my properties, my investment property, the duplex. And then I had a house that almost doubled as well, right? So I made a lot of my my fortune from the real estate market. And then I moved to Edmonton. I have 5 condos here. I'm in the process of selling 2, and I have 2 Airbnb short-term rental properties, and I live in one. So I have 2 long-term rentals, 2 short-term rentals, and I live in one, right? And I'm looking to do the same. And the one condo I bought a year ago is currently sold. It closes at the end of this month, and I sold it for over double than what I paid for it less than a year ago. So there's always opportunity. There's tons of people who lose money. There's tons of people who make money. And like I said, for every single person who loses money, you're going to have people who gain, and they're going to have people who if someone loses, someone gains. If someone gains, someone loses, right? It's just the way the world works. You can't have hot without cold. You can't have gains without losses. And that's just the way, like, basically everything is one big giant pyramid scheme and Ponzi scheme when you really think about it. The early people that get in, right, end up making the most money, and the late ones get shafted. That's just the way it is. So, we'll pivot over to MJ here again, because this is an MJ centric video. But you have to remember that this isn't the first time this has happened, right? There was tons of people who lost money in the .com days because it wasn't clear who the winners and losers were going to be. Hindsight's always 20/20, and it was the same thing with MJ, right? Look at CGC back in 2015. The thing was at like what? It did a split, so it was at like $10, and then it ran up all the way to $600, right? It's more like $60 though, factoring in the split. So pre-split, it would have been like $60. But let me know, what side of the fence are you on? Did you make money? Did you lose money? Personally, I am down on my MJ portfolio in total, and I'll go into that in a little bit more here in just a moment. But one thing you have to remember is this is the retail channel that was created by a retail investor for retail investors. And the cold hard truth about this is, and this is what I pride myself on, I tell people what they need to hear, not what you want to hear. There's lots of channels out there that are just after clicks and whatnot. So if you want that and you want to be told what you want to hear, just go see them and they'll fill you all kinds of fluff. There's no shortage of that. I don't care about clicks or views or subscribers. I'm here to help people and try to, basically spread the truth and just be a realist. And I hope that my mistakes and my, wisdom and the experience can help you avoid making the same mistakes. So let me know what side of the fence you're on. But the fact is that retail investors usually lose, right? 90+% of people who are retail investors, like every Joe and Jane, like myself, and probably most of the people listening to my voice, we usually always lose because we're going up against, AI and trading bots now, and big hedge funds and institutional investors and Wall Street banks, right? And they control the media. So they're trying to get you to, be FOMOing in and ultra bullish, things are going to 1,000. They're never going to correct ever again. They get you to buy the top, and then they crash at 80%, 70, 80%, sometimes 90%. They capitulate you at the bottom, and then they have all these kind of negative headlines at the bottom. They kind of instill fear, and they try to get you to think that the industry is never going to recover, and then boom, it happens again, right? We start to recover. So in my own personal situation, before my real estate sales, I started off with a 4-figure account. I remember buying Canopy for the first time. It was back in, I think it was 2018. Yeah, because it was like right after I bought Bitcoin and got into crypto, I started to buy MJ stock. So I bought my first MJ stock, and I think I'm pretty sure it was CGC, or at that, it was WEED, the ticker on the Canadian side. But nonetheless, I started to invest in MJ stocks. That was the first time I ever bought Canopy, and I bought it at like $2. And, I made a lot of money on Canopy on the way up, but I didn't have, all of the knowledge with regards to these high risk sectors like crypto and MJ, which I say are the highest risk sectors out there, right? So you can't have, your 10x gains, your 50x gains, your 100x gains without those 70, 80, 90+% pullbacks. And the great thing about, the amount of pullbacks that we've seen, in excess of 70, 80% tells us that there's still tons of upside and opportunity left, right? Once you start to see the industries mature and they're no longer nascent, and you're in the multi-billions, sometimes trillions, then the opportunity goes away. It's like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin had so much opportunity. Now we're starting, for it to double, it would be, a major feat, right? Because the market cap gets so big. But I started off with about a 4-figure account, and I thought I was like same as everybody else, right? Like we're going to the moon, and I'm never gonna lose money. I know what I'm doing, and I lost I think I lost about 90% of that account. So basically, the whole account went bust. I lost about 90%, but then I learned my lesson. And then crypto in 2018, 2009 crashed as well. It went down 80, 90+%. So I learned that lesson with crypto, and then I learned it, again with MJ, but I was better equipped that time. And then I sold some properties, right? That was in 2019, 2020. And then in late 2020, I sold a property. And then again in 2021. And then at that point, I knew to be patient and to wait for the big dips and not to buy the big rips, right? So I was able to sell some properties, and then I started to invest more into MJ. So I grew my account to about 5 figures, which it's still at today. So if you think about this from this perspective, and there's been tons of opportunity, like from the low here of 2015 to the high of 2018 when Canada legalized, that's a 60x almost on Canopy. So if you invested $1,000, you'd have $60,000, right? If 10,000, you have 600,000. So there's been tons of opportunity. A lot of people made a lot of money here, but then a lot of people lost a lot of money here as well. And all these people that made money on the way up, people were losing money, right? Because they were buying in and they were buying the top and they were selling to them, right? So they were locking in profits. People were buying and getting potentially shafted. So you have to remember that and then on the way down, people were shorting, right? They were making money on the price going down, right? So this is the way the market works, right? It's the complicated dynamic. So I grew after losing basically that 4-figure account, I started back over with a very low 4-figure account, and then I sold those real estate properties, and then I grew it to about a 5-figure account, like I said, which it still is today. So just think about it. If you have a 5-figure account and you see a 2x gain or a 3x gain, right? You 2 or 3 times your money. You can potentially turn that account into a 6-figure account just with a 2 or 3x. And then what happens if your 5-figure account sees a 10x gain? Well, then you could be very quickly into the 7 figures, right? So my 5-figure account, if I see just a 2x, my 5-figure account is going to be 6 figures. And if my 5-figure account sees just a 10x, it's going to be 7 figures. So you don't need to invest a lot of money to make a lot of money. And it happens quickly. And what's like a 2x or a 3x in MJ? Like it's nothing, right? A 10x is almost nothing, right? Look what CGC did in a matter of weeks. It went up over 400%. So that's over 4x, right? And that was just in a few weeks. So MJ, I don't care. I'm not here for 5% gains. I'm not here for 15%. I'm not here for 50%. I'm here for those, those 100x gains, right? Those 1,000% gains and generational wealth. So that's my goal and how quickly things can change. But yes, I am down on my MJ portfolio, but 1x gain, a 2x gain, just a 2-fold in my account, and I'm way in the profit, right? Because I was able to dollar cost average and knowing that there's going to be 80, 90% corrections, there will be another 80 to 90% correction on MJ stocks. There'll be another 80 to 90% correction on a lot of crypto out there, right? These high risk sectors, AI, think of electric vehicles, right? When there's so much growth ahead, and you're in such a nascent and disruptive industry, there's going to be massive volatility. And with massive volatility to the downside becomes matching volatility to the upside. We want to welcome volatility because with 80, 90% pullbacks means that we can still see those 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x gains, right? Literally life-changing wealth. So, and then, with that money that I sold from my housing profits, I invested a lot into crypto. I've been saying this on the channel. I still have more dollars in crypto than I do MJ. My largest crypto holding dollar-wise is worth more than my entire MJ portfolio dollar-wise. But that's going to shift soon as we see crypto top out over the next few months and then MJ go on to start a bull market just like what happened in 2018 when crypto topped out. MJ went on the biggest bull run ever with Canadian reform and legalization. And what do we have on deck? U.S. reform and legalization potentially. One presidential candidate saying she wants to legalize it at the recreational level, right? So end of the day, it's our responsibility and it's us who are hitting the buy or sell button. And again, I'm not trying to be an a-hole or anything like that. I'm just trying to tell you like it is, call a spade a spade. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And we hit the buy or sell button, right? We have to, how much time did you do researching the markets before buying? Did you research that, crypto and MJ are the highest risk sectors? Did you understand the 80, 90% correction theory? Did you understand that, buying monthly oversold versus monthly overbought conditions on the RSI, like just something simple like that, or even weekly oversold, right? Not buying when it's overbought, not buying when your friend comes out and tells you, oh, MJ stocks are looking good. Because if all your friends and everybody and their dog is saying MJ stocks are looking good, well, chances are you're probably way up here and it's time to go short or wait for a dip and then buy, right? If your taxi driver's telling you about MJ stocks or crypto, then it's probably too late, right? So again, we have to take accountability. We have to take responsibility. Nobody's hitting the buy or sell button, and there's a lesson to be learned, right? So how much time did you spend, right? How much effort did you put in? Did you buy something because somebody told you to buy it, or did you put in hours and hours and hours of research and due diligence, and you understand the company better than anybody else, and you understand where it's going, the growth perspective and trajectory, right? Not just for the company, but the market itself. And it always becomes clear later on, right? It always, like back here, right? It's like, oh, hindsight 2020, we could have made 60x gains on Canopy, but we didn't know Canopy was going to get an investment from Constellation Brands, the maker of Corona, right? It's always hindsight is 2020. But now, once it becomes popular, it's usually the opposite happens, right? Once Canopy was basically the de facto leader, everybody thought it was going to be the one to lead long term. And what's the saying? How does the saying go? What's usually popular is usually incorrect. So when something becomes popular, it's usually the opposite, right? The contrarian mindset. So I'm not saying Canopy won't become a leader or be a leader or, won't see, a sustained rally again or be around in 5, 10 plus years from now. It very well might be. But now, which are going to be the new leaders, right? Who's going to be the CGC of the next bull market? Who's going to get that, big alcohol, tobacco, pharma investment, right? So all of these things, once they become known and obvious to the masses, usually the opportunity has faded, if not at least diminished, right? It's probably not completely gone, but it's certainly diminished. So hopefully this video was helpful. It was a bit longer than I expected, but I wanted to kind of give my thoughts and opinions, my perspective, my situation in a high level overview, and curious to hear what everybody else thinks. Let me know what side of the fence are you on. Did you lose money? Are you up money? Like I said, there was tons of people who made a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars, people who became millionaires in the run up to 2018 legalization in Canada. There's going to be multi-millionaires made, multiple of them, when the US legalizes, and it's only ever going to happen once, folks. The biggest economy and nation in the world is almost there. We have digital pen to digital paper saying that a presidential candidate wants to legalize at the federal level recreationally. Okay, things are different. This time is different. I know it sounds cliche. It's a very dangerous phrase, but it is different. Just open your eyes and look at the writing on the wall. All right. Happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend ahead. It's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us in the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll catch you on the next one.